Hi everyone, thanks for joining the webinar. We'll just wait for a few minutes for everyone to join in. Thank you. Hi everyone, thanks for joining the live webinar on intelligent document processing in the age of generative AI. My name is Muskan and I'll be your moderator for this webinar. The objective of today's discussion is to provide you with an overview on data accuracy using IDP, the AI component in IDP, some intelligent automation use cases for implementation, and best practices. I also do have a set of obligatory housekeeping notes to go over before we officially get started. While all lines are on mute by default, feel free to chat with us, ask questions, and show your reactions using the Zoom control panel. Drop your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll make sure to address them at the end of the session. All right, so let's get started. We have with us Shashi Bhargava, EVP for Intelligent Automation Products and Solutions. Shashi has over 33 years of experience in delivering software services to clients across the globe on multiple technologies and domains. He has successfully led organizational growth through P&L management, client engagement, pre-sale support, product design, and development, and also building high-performance teams with demonstrable productivity. In his previous role, Shashi has also been very instrumental in areas of growth and setup of multiple Center of Excellence, COEs, to drive revenue and business success. Thank you so much for being there with us, Shashi. Over to you.
Thank you, Muskan. And once again, welcome everyone to the webinar on talking about using generative AI and IDP. So let's know some basic fundamentals. Maybe most of the people, audience will know about it, but just to repeat what IDP stands for. Intelligent document processing refers to the use of technologies using like AI, ML, automate the processing and extraction of information from various of documents, which could be structured, it could be semi-structured, and could be unstructured documents. Earlier, yes, it used to happen using what we used to call it OCR technologies, using OCR, some text extraction used to happen, but now IDP, which is kind of next generation of the product, where we use a lot of AI ML, native AI ML, the whole product is driven by the AI ML kind of thing, extract the information and do the processing from all the three kinds of unstructured document. It does involve analyzing the document, understanding the document, and extraction of data, various kind of documents such as invoices, receipts, contract, emails. And the more important, which is getting is not only plain data extraction, but you also try to understand the context behind it and get the data extraction based on the context. That's what the end users are looking for it. So that's a very brief definition of IDP. Moving on, typical IDP solution, if you look at it, this is how the typical architecture will look like. You see on the left-hand side, you will see a block for system input. So the input, the documents can be ingested by email. They can be ingested using FTP. They can also be ingested using REST API, basically to connect with your upstream and downstream system. REST API is being used. You can also put documents lying around on Google Drive. You can be on database, could be on a shared folder, SFTP, and any of this kind of system from where the system, the product, the IDP product picks up the documents for processing it further. You look at the main end here, you have an input process. So you have certain rules you can set it up. There's a rule engine out there to take care of whatever the inputs are coming in terms of you can have restriction in terms of type of documents you're taking it. Let's say you accept TIFF, PNG, PDF, but maybe PNG or some JPEG, you don't want to process it, you can put that kind of a rule, a certain type size, sometimes priority. So those are various kind of rules you can set it up before you ingest the document into the IDP product. And one of the key features in the IDP which is required is the document classification and auto splitting. I'll take a little minute to explain your document classification is depending on what kind of a document you're getting it. The multiple documents come as a single file. You can get multiple files, same document having the similar type of document, multiple similar type of documents. You need to understand what the document is. For example, it may contain invoice, it may contain the purchase order, it may contain the packing slip, it may contain the bill of lading, all four put together in a single file can come to you, which you need to classify each of the documents and split it accordingly so that you can extract the data automatically from there. Typically, people look for heterogeneous document, which means one file containing multiple type of documents. You also get homogeneous splitting where only single type of documents coming in, multiple single type of documents coming in a single file, you can go and split it. This is one of the very key feature. And what you need is if the IDP product should be able to learn pretty quickly, or even an end user without requiring any coding or any kind of a program, go ahead and train the system if they have any specific type of classification document which they have. There's always a pre-processing piece, which is basically enhancing the quality of image. In case the quality is poor, you need to enhance the images to make sure that when you put it through OCR, you can get much better extraction results. OCR. Then you have the next step is OCR. Typically, you have use one OCR, but certain IDPs allow you multiple OCR. If the feature of convergence out there, you get the output from multiple OCR and you converge to get the best results. And this is what the way the market we see moving along. The other main piece out of the IDP is extraction and validation. This is where I would say the heart of the brain of the system is. So you can do extractions based on a lot of AI models. There are n number of models which come in, which are inbuilt into the IDP product, which can be used to extract the value from different documents. It can be also rule-based extraction. You can do the rule-based extraction and combine both in a hybrid way, rule-based and using the machine learning models. Here where you can have even external models coming in, externally trained models, which we call as a bring your own model kind of thing, which you can also like the values. And this is where the scope is increasing because IDP main purpose is as accurate the result as you want it, as many fields as you can get it. And this is where the model training more and more model comes in. And HITL, which is human in the loop, is a absolutely inherent part of the IDP. Whatever you do, all the models and everything, it's not possible to get the 100% extraction, all the 100% of the document. It does require a human review. It can fail certain validation. Values cannot be extracted due to the poor quality of image or some reasons. That's where HITL comes in, where the human review takes place. Any kind of a correction, something is to be done, which can be done. The next piece is the export with rules and transformation. You need to have an export functionality in the product by which you can apply certain rules. Even while exporting, you can export in different formats like JSON, XML, CSV, and even like when you know certain kind of a transformation. Like for example, if you want date in a certain particular format, DMMYY, even though your documents may have that in different format, you can do all that kind of transformation before exporting the data. This is becoming a feature of it. If you look at the lower box, which we have something called on the right-hand side, TrueCap Studio. This is where you have a studio where you can baseline your documents when you're setting up a new document that is setting up. It's typically look for notebook kind of platform where you can set up the 50 documents or 100 documents. When you set it up, see the results, fine-tune the configuration. You can use this studio. It helps you in doing that. Same time, it does have feature like training the model, which I mentioned earlier, like classification, sometimes logo identification. So many of those models can be trained based on your own private data, and you can have it in your own instance out there. Same thing, features like image profiling is also there, which is basically what kind of image functions you need to apply. There are ample number of functions, more than 50, 60, 100 functions, which can be used to enhance the images. You can try it out here and set accordingly. And another important thing becoming is as a complete product, if you look at it from the administrator perspective, user management is there. The subject matter expert can go and define the ontology or the taxonomy about the document, which basically means what are the different fields you want to extract from the document that can you can go and define it, put the validations rules, some of the rules if you require. Apart from that, yes, dashboard having the complete MIS, complete audit trail, what has happened in the system, which will extracted, which will got changed, what is the accuracy rate, what is the time taken, what is the time taken by the human review. All those kind of things are basically inbuilt part of the IDP. The left-hand side, the last block, which I'll cover is the human in the loop, where you see manually users can also upload the document. Typically, IDP is coming as a straight-through process architecture where documents are ingested, everything goes well, the data can
Sorry
be
to
exported.
interrupt.
Yeah.
Your voice is breaking out and going a little faint. Can you speak a little closer to the speaker, please?
Yeah. Is it better now, Muskan? Thank you for pointing out.
Yes, it is much better. Please go ahead here. Thank you.
If you look at the human in the loop, I think there's a possibility in IDP people can load the documents. When the operators can load documents, they can do the batch handling, they can do the manual click and capture, not type the whole data, and the QC control typically in the HITL portion of the work which you have in the IDP. I just want to give a brief outlay about what IDP product looks like. People who are not aware of it, many of people who are on the call, they know very well what the IDP is. Now, let me jump out to the topic of generative AI. I think all of you played around with ChatGPT, OpenAI, ChatGPT, is coming out with Bard. So everybody, AWS is also coming out with their own model. And those are the AI tools which are now available, people are playing around, and which are using for generating a lot of content which you want to. You can ask all the different questions, and you get the content get generated by the this kind of a tools, OpenAI, ChatGPT, whether it could be images, it could be videos, it could be text, it could be music, any kind of form of data you can go. And I think everybody here on the call must have tried that out. It's becoming hot. Now, what are they? Basically, AI are the models, large language models for people, LLM, trained on large data set, and they learn how to generate the content, resembling the pattern and the characteristics of the training data. They already come, like for example, ChatGPT, OpenAI, they're already trained with so much of data as of like September 21, the new ChatGPT 3.5. A lot of LLMs are coming which are very specifically trained for a specific set of data, but a huge amount of data. Okay, that's why they're calling it LLM kind of thing, which can be very helpful. Okay, and we'll see how it can help as far as IDP functionality is concerned. How can we use in the IDP? Now, if you look at the current constraints and the limitation in the IDP, number one, some retraining, additional training is required if you have any new data fields at the point. Okay, suppose, for example, you have a document, you're extracting in the document, and you suddenly want to add from the business reason another fields into it, then you need to get additional training. You need to train the model, which is basically time consuming, just the cost about it. Second is any incremental training which you need to do it. It could be part of self-learning, or you might be getting extra data to train it. A lot of extra data. It takes a lot of time in the current scenario, the current kind of technology which we have, where you need to model and then publish the model in the production environment. Similarly, if you look at it, one of the challenges which we have in the IDP is we do not have enough data for training to get the kind of accuracy which we need to achieve. What I mean by that is if you don't have, let's say you want to extract the data from a particular file type of a document, if you only have samples like 100, 200, 300 samples, model gets trained only based on 300 samples. The results are based on only on those 300. While if you have, let's say, 300,000 or 3 million documents, if you train it, obviously the result quality will be far better. Is one of the problem which we have into the system. Another thing is, yes, time it takes to accuracy. Okay, the accuracy which everybody is striving in the IDP to get the higher accuracy, higher STP rate. The field should be extracted automatically and as accurate as possible. That is still a challenge. And every time we train the model, we bring new features in the IDP. Purpose is to get the higher accuracy rate. Another thing is cases-based model. What we are seeing in the IDP currently is we have trained models for specific use cases, something good for invoice for the logistic industry, it could be health insurance claim for a particular insurance company, a particular country or geo. So very case-specific models are being built, which are very time-consuming. It may not fit all the kind of requirement which users have, which basically means that every kind of a typical use case come, you need to go and train the model, which takes time and effort. Possibly the different need of different models in different use cases. Okay. So even the models are not going to be same. You need to have different kind of models needs to be trained to get the kind of accuracy and the result which we are having. And in short, if you look at it, it's all time, effort, and get the better result. You need to work on that particular thing. Effort and cost, and that is where the major problem in the IDP is to get the higher accuracy. You need to train the model. You need a lot of data to do it, which itself is a challenge. Now, moving when we go into the generative AI, okay, the generative AI has come in. Number one, I think most of the generative AI models are out as a service, so it's very easy to. Okay, you can work and very easily do that thing. You don't need the whole queue to train the model, get the model, get the right data set and everything, train those things. It comes pretty much ready with classification. For classification, you don't have to train it. This kind of models are already trained for most of the regular documents which you have. Okay, it can classify it pretty accurately. If you have a very specific document for your organization or something, then yes, possibly you might have to train it, but that's also very easy to train on this kind of a platform. It can handle documents languages. Okay, they are trained for different languages. So there are many cases where you get, for example, in invoices, you get invoices in multiple languages in an organization which you want to handle it, or health insurance claim, or you take the banking document. They come in multiple languages by this kind of generative AI. There's another one, higher accuracy. Okay, we have tried it out. We have seen it using this model. Certain fields which you want to extract, instead of training a model or putting this kind of generative AI, accuracy is extremely high. You can get a lot of things, a lot of contextual information which you want to go about it. You can get it from there. Even some kind of a aggregated field, some kind of summary, some kind of a certain like contextual things like could be sentiment, could be a summary, could be certain odd things, the documents you want to find it out. You can do pretty easily using the generative AI. Like something specific observations you want from the document. Suppose you have a contract on a structured document, you want to figure it out. What are the kind of penalty clauses? Something missing with from the penalty clause, the liability clause. Those things can be easily find out whether something major, something looking odd in this document. Those kind of things can come out very easily. You can get the data. One of the advantages, you can get the data in a JSON format, in a text format, a table format. Necessary that you have to have a chat kind of a thing, and also putting as a chat as input output. You can send it using API. You can connect to generative AI, send your request, get the data back in a very structured form. It's very easy. What we have seen is to integrate into the existing workflow or existing product which you have in the IDP. It's very easy to bring that as a particular engine and use it format as you go along. Moving further into this, what are the challenges in adopting the generative AI? You'll see a lot of news going around in the world right now, like GPT, can it be used for the enterprise documents? Can we, what about the data security? What about the data privacy? Those lot of issues are there. So one of the point I'll say is evolving regulations. Many countries, many organizations are still working on it. There's so many meetings happening, like even the Microsoft and Google's, they've gone and met even the US president. There's a lot of action going on, but it's still the regulations are not completely very clear. They're not yet out. A lot of people are working on it. And we hope that in the maybe the next couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, we can't say completely, absolutely, but yes, we do see a lot of regulations will be evolved. Every country will go for different kind of regulations, but somewhere regulations needs to come in because there are a lot of pros and cons, both sides, which needs to be evaluated. The bias and the lack of transparency, yes, that's another challenge in adopting the generative AI. You get the results, and many times you don't know why you got that result. There's not always a possible reasoning available in the generative AI. It could be biased based on the kind of data with the models have got trained. So there are a lot of LLM models available in the market, which are some of them are very vertically specific models as well. A certain date, certain set of data. Second, with a certain up to certain time of data, like for example, ChatGPT 3 is I think trained up to September 21. That's the data update. So there could be a lot of biases which you need to take care if you're taking into the IDP kind of a thing. You need to be aware of it, making sure that you take cognizant of that particular fact. Hallucinations, yes, that's a reality in the generative AI space. Okay, a lot of time you may get it absolutely wrong data. Okay, wrong results may come in, and you need to make sure whatever we are using it, make sure that you're taking care of it. Okay, and the way to do about is yes, you may go and train apart from the generic model which is there. You can go and train it with your own data set. Okay, you can put your own personas out there on top of it to make sure that you get the required data as per your requirement. The very, very interesting thing is the compute and the cost. Okay, for having, let's say, you want to have your own LLM model, okay, it's very difficult. It's not very, I'm not saying it's difficult in the sense in terms of to set up a private custom models. You need to have a lot of data to train it. You require a huge compute capacity. And maybe the big, very large enterprises, maybe possibly they can afford. We have seen some cases where really large banks have gone and set up their own LLM model. They had tons of data, terabytes of data, which they use to train that model, and they're very specific models running for them. But for a mid-sized organization, many of them with the volumes are not that high. Okay, it will be very not at all cost effective as of now to go and create your own private custom models. The better thing would be that you take the generic model and top up with your own data. And today's world, yes, compute capacity is a challenge, even including Microsoft OpenAI. It's not that you can pump in any size of the document. There are certain limitations which you need to run with. Okay, you might have to sometimes split the document. You cannot get like if you have a 2000 page document, you can get all the answers which are looking for it. This mainly primarily because of the compute capacity which you require at the end of it, which you need to worry about. Another interesting thing coming out is a newer skill, which is a prompt engineer. So how do you interact with this kind of a generative AI model? Okay, how do you work with them? Okay, so you have to keep asking certain questions, and the way you ask the questions, okay, the way you prompt it, okay, that's where you get the answer. And that is the new skill, I think, which many of us, okay, who are working in setting up different things, need to be aware of it. In terms of like IDP product, I would say the kind of prompt you send it, the kind of response you will get it. If you want it more accurate, absolute clear-cut response to your question or your answer, very clearly, very crisp, and absolute pointed questions which you need to ask it. So this is one area where we see that a lot of people will have to do a lot of learning around here, how to create the prompt, how to write the prompt, how to optimize the prompt. And the prompt will be very important from the cost perspective also. If you put a wrong prompt, you may get maybe thousands of words, maybe hundred thousands of words as an answer from the chat GPT, which basically is going to cost you a lot, cost you money. So you have to be really, really good at it. And that is a new skill which we see coming on the market and people will have to do it. There's a lot of evolving do's and don'ts. As I mentioned, as so the regulations are also not there. And by using this also chat GPT, different kind of a thing, knowing about OpenAI, if you the free version chat GPT, also what you can do, what you cannot do, looking from the organization perspective, looking at your own privacy policy, looking at the kind of data which you take down, whether you can share with that, whether you can put it in the free version or you want to go on a paid version, you need to worry about it, including even interacting with the chat GPT or using generative AI model. Still, like people are learning a lot of good practices, a lot of things which you're not supposed to do. Okay. Again, from the cost perspective, time perspective, which you need to worry about it and how accurate and how fast also you can get it. So you can keep asking the different questions. ChatGPT or OpenAI will keep answering you, but you're going to take much more time. While if you look at the IDP kind of scenario where you have a STP kind of solution, the straight to processing, you want it to be done quickly without having any attendant. As far as possible, you don't want to have any kind of a attendant coming out there. Moving further, okay, generative AI and IDP, that yes, they will coexist. That's our view very clearly. Yes, IDP and generative AI, the way, the kind of features, the kind of functionality which we can achieve using generative AI, the both are going to coexist. And that's why we make a statement that generative AI will form the brain of the IDP workflow. Remember the IDP architecture which I showed you? I think generative AI will become the part of the extraction engine, and definitely using that very important piece of the IDP, and it will be used for extracting various kind of data elements, maybe some straight data elements, some contextual data elements. Another thing which I mentioned is private train on private data with continuous learning. Yes, there could be some wrong results coming out, some biased results coming out from generative AI because they're trained on certain things, which is pretty much in public. But as you go along, as you use the IDP, you can train it with your own private data. Whatever data you have, you can go and kind of a few short training or incremental training you can do on that models so that your accuracy of the result extraction is far better. And another important thing is a continuous learning. You call it self-learning, continuous learning. So when you're processing the documents in the IDP, and you process thousands of documents, whatever data you correct, you capture it, that can be used to make these models learn as. So that is going to be one of the very important pieces of the IDP as you go along. And this, I would say, is going to be pretty important. Most of the IDP product will have to come out in the studio, as I mentioned, is where you can go and train with your own data. And you can also set in the product where, as you're doing processing, they should be able to go reach this kind of a little private model of what the OpenAI or the ChatGPT gave you. Another important feature which we see in the IDP coming is the inline data querying and analytics. Let me go a little deeper into that. Inline data querying, what I mean is, suppose you're processing a health claim. You've already predefined some 50 fields to be captured or 100 fields to be captured. But after seeing the results of this 100 fields, you may have certain more questions which you like to ask after seeing the result, which is not necessary to get it, but on a particular health claim when somebody get, he may like to ask certain questions out of that document. And that is what I call it as a data querying. He can put that query and he can get the answer with respect in the context of the document which is there, which is something you can call it an ad hoc thing. People will go and ask certain questions to get certain insight, which will help them in making the decision as we move forward. Next is analytics. Yes, even that is also important. Like, for example, I mentioned health insurance claim, or you take the bank thing. You can ask questions like, okay, shall we this claim? And if I want to approve this claim, okay. Same way I can ask, okay, this health claim, can I reject it? If I want to reject it, what is the basis I can go and reject it? So that's where you're using generative AI reasoning, logical power of that to get all those things from the document. That's where it generates, looking at the various things in the context, it gives you the data. But again, as we move forward, as we see the adoption of this going forward, I would definitely see people training it with their own private data. So let's say if it's the insurance claim, you have an open AI, but you can go and put your insurance policy, particular company insurance policy, which is deciding to pay or not. You can put that data, you can put their policy and make your responses coming in line with that, which basically increases the productivity of your people or the claim processors who are doing that thing. These are the three things very, very important, and where we see it's going to play an important role in the IDP. Another thing which you see is the data fusion or convergence. This is also a very important feature. Like right now, one OpenAI as one of the extraction engine, IDP engines. Also, IDP products have their own ML models through which they use the extraction, their rule-based extraction. And this is where it will bring your own model. If you've created already a model for doing this extraction, you can bring that model into the product. And what we are saying is the extraction can happen, can do for a single document. You can do extraction from multiple models. One of them could be OpenAI, one can be your model, one could be the native model in the IDP product, and you do a conversion, you do a fusion of all the you're getting from the extraction and give the best accuracy, best accurate result for all the data elements we are doing it. This is one of the things which we see as we market. This convergence will come along because we are seeing a lot of LLM models will come. maybe vertical specific models will come, generic models will come, a combination of all these models to increase the accuracy, this particular feature. With a lot of public external model, that is what we foresee in the LLM side of it. A lot of public models will be coming out, which also can be used in combination with the other models, ultimately to extract the data contextually right and take it forward or get the higher accuracy. Move forward. You can perform complex validations using business-like prompts. Okay, so this is something where you can go train the model, you can put the rules, which is you need not know the coding or the programming here. You can just simply go put a lot of complex validations out there, which can use in turn, which will use the generative AI or these models to validate it and give you the results out of that particular thing. Another thing which is very important in OpenAI is synthetic data and document generation. As we mentioned, one of the challenges is we do not have enough samples for training the models. If we have certain particular model, can use this OpenAI to generate synthetic data. You can create similar kind of a documents when you have few samples. You can go and create multiple documents. You can create the synthetic data out of which can be used to train the engine to verify certain particular things. Cost optimization is going to be a very important piece of the IDP product. Because in OpenAI, it's not very, I would say, yes, there is a certain cost involved. If you do the wrong cost, like for example, OpenAI works on the number of tokens which you have. More tokens you consume, you'll end up paying more prices. If that is the case, if you don't have the right prompt, or if your products, if you're loading the document multiple times, you're getting the long outputs which we may not require. Your prompts are not very precise to get the precise output from OpenAI. So there are different settings which in generative AI. All LLM models have a different setting to get the different things. Okay, but you need to be very cost conscious. If you don't set it up properly, if you don't use these features properly, you will end up with a huge bill. Cost optimization is going to be a feature which is going to be part of the IDP. Internally, you need to be aware of the cost of every call you're making to the generative AI platform and getting the output. Data enrichment is another thing. So far, what we have seen in the IDP is people go for whatever data is available on the document given, extract it from there. But now, using OpenAI, one of the use cases coming, you can further enrich the data by giving a lot of insight. Sometimes you can get some extra other additional data using OpenAI, which helps you enrich the data, which further to make much better decisions as we move forward on that. The way we forward, we look at it, yes, quick addition of new data sources. Okay, yes, that is one of the options, futuristic thing, which we see where the audio can be ingested into the IDP and a lot of data can be extracted from the audio video, the data ingestion, which is happening there. This is where I see generally where the generative AI and the IDP is going to be very, very effective on it here. This was my talk on the generative AI and IDP. Maybe I'll take 5 minutes more, 5 to 10 minutes more. I can cover something about our TrueCap product, which is our IDP product. Maybe I'll run quickly 2 or 3 slides on that, and then maybe we can open for Q&A. Is that fine, Muskan?
Yes, Shashi.
Okay. So I'll just quickly run through the TrueCap IDP product, which Datamatics has got, which is a cognitive capture, intelligent document processing tool. Okay, some of the major highlights is free. So you don't have to create the template for each and every type of document you're getting it. For example, you get invoices, multiple type of invoices each vendor gives. You don't have to create a template for each and every vendor. You can just create once, you define the fields, it works with all the vendors. Another important feature is a self-learning feature. So when you do process the document, it goes through the human review. Whatever corrections, additions, click and capture, which you're doing from the document, that system picks it up and it is used to train the model. So when the similar kind of documents are coming next time, it takes care of it. We do have a studio for baselining and the model training, which is a very important feature. You don't have to go and create the model, train it outside, and then bring it there. It's a part of the product. You have a complete business and operations, which have a lot of dashboards, a lot of MIS reports, everything for whatever business and operation things you need is a part of our TrueCap product. We have a completely inbuilt workflow, which takes care right from end to end, from ingestion till the export of the data, which we need to do it. Use the content capture. A lot of AI ML models have been inbuilt, and now we are working towards getting your own models, which can be used for extracting the data. It's a completely business user driven product available on the SaaS, the low code mode. You don't need to know the programming. You just need to know what data you're extracting it, what validation you want to do it, and you can do that. The product comes with a lot of pre-trained models already inbuilt as a part of the product, which can be consumed by extracting the data for various documents which you may have. Classification is a feature which comes inbuilt into the product for classifying the various document types which you have. Moving further, some of the other features we can seamlessly integrate with the RPA product. Channel data processing, which means the documents can be ingested via different channels. It could be email, SFTP, different kind of channels can be used to ingest the document. We provide multiple OCR versions, which is one of the unique features we have, where the document can pass multiple OCR engines and we converse the result to the user and we look at it. We can do complex table extraction, as you know, guys know that various documents have various kind of table structure, lines of header, overlapping columns, no column lines, single headers, mapping to the next page without headers. There are various kinds of tables we get it. Every release of the product which come out, we keep adding, we keep enhancing this table model. It automatically detects the table of the document and extracts the value. You have a maker checker authorization, basically just in the HITL, in case you want a higher accuracy, you can use that quality control feature. We integrate with a lot of RPA products seamlessly. We have a ready component which can be used to call from any RPA automation. You're doing any of the RPA standard RPA product, you can use that particular thing. We do have a data validation and auto learning feature. So you can put a lot of validations rule without doing much of a coding. It's just simply putting rules as you put in the MS Outlook for setting up or routing your mails. You can simply go and put the rules like that, and the data validation happens. We do give the confidence score for each and every field extracted in the IDP. And based on that confidence score, you can define whether the document go in that completely STP mode, yes or no. You handle unstructured documents and the handwritten documents as well. Pretty good results you're getting on the handwritten. The technology has improved quite a lot in the last 4 years. You're seeing very good results coming out of the handwritten. To extract like all kinds of barcodes, QR codes, we can extract signatures from the document. We can extract photos from the document, and we can also do matching between the signatures and the photos as we go along. The product is available as a service on the cloud, on the Azure cloud as of today. The more features we go, it is a queue-based architecture. So when the documents are loaded on it and then ingested into the system, and we just it goes from one queue, one stage to other queue, and we can process millions of documents. We just did recently a benchmark. We could process 1 million pages in about 16 hours. That's it, but it's completely auto-scalable, very cloud-native application, where even if you want to process 10 million, 20 million, 100 million document, we just need to auto-scales up, and it can handle that kind of thing. Completely microservice architecture. We have a role-based access control. We are SOC compliant. Feature called Knowledge Master, where the system learns a lot of things. For example, if you're processing invoices, you're processing bank documents, it creates a certain master which can be used as we move along. From the security perspective, we are very, very cautious about our security and the data point of it. We are SOC compliant. We are also NEST compliant. We have a complete encryption of the data. The encryption key could be defined by our users. So all kind of security at an enterprise level, whatever we require, we do have a audit control and those things. It's a completely scalable solution as we go along the cloud side. Some of the other important things is we have a lot of Radiantologies for certain documents which can be consumed directly, which helps our customers going live pretty quickly. We have taken many of our customers live within a week or 10 days time is what we take customers live on certain kind of a document. AML self-running is there. There's no CapEx cost. You just go pay per use. A lot of different extensions available on our product which can be used, and we are pretty flexible as the price. I think I'll stop here. I'll Muskan for opening up for the any questions which you may have.
Right. Yes, Shashi, we do have a few questions. So one question is from David. It says, can you tell me more about data security using generative AI and IDP?
Okay, excellent question, David. So yes, if you use generative AI, a lot of public models, the data security concern is there. Okay, your data goes out to there, and the way the kind of contracts and the agreements which they have, okay, data can be used by them for other purposes. But if you are going for like tools like OpenAI, which is what we recommend on the Azure kind of a thing, there your data is secured, that is not being used by OpenAI for any other purpose or training or something. So from the security perspective, I would suggest, yes, generative AI, use the paid version, which is like OpenAI on Azure and other models which are there to have your data secured on it. From the IDP side, typically it's encrypted data which can go into something, but yes, it's secured on the paid version, so you need not worry about.
Okay. Hope that answers your question, David. Second question is from Kathy. How cost effective is adding generative AI in IDP?
Super question, Kathy. Like everybody is wondering about that particular thing. Yes, technically we have done that thing. We have seen good results coming out of it, but at what price? So typically, yes, that's what I was talking about. Like, optimizing your prompt, optimizing your based on it, how smartly you put the prompt. That's where IDP vendors like us have to worry about it and optimize the cost, right prompt. There are two, three ways which we are looking at it. Number one, yes, there are traditional models. YDP was it is doing it. We can go for what we call as a data fusion, hybrid convergence kind of thing, where certain fields which you can get it by the normally already trained models which are there in the IDP, or maybe certain rules are set based on the rules. If those fields can be extracted by current existing features, existing models in the product IDP, you should use that. Only the fields which you have challenges getting it, maybe which are pretty contextual and your models are not trained for it, for those selective things to the generative AI. And these are the kind of capability or features which will come in the IDP product. Here, let's say from a document, you're trying to extract 50 fields, 40 fields are coming pretty good using the native technology or native models which are already there. Maybe for 5 or 10 fields, not getting the result what you want to. For those 10 fields, you can use generative AI and try to optimize on the cost. What we see today is, yes, generative AI is it depending on what kind of a volume and what kind of a SLA you have, it may justify it, it may not justify it. Okay, sometimes maybe a human review, if you're just 1 or 2 fields and you have a back office operation or operators who are there who can do that thing and not very, if they are cost effective, possibly that can meet it. What we foresee is that, yes, over a period, the cost of the generative AI also will go down. I think the models are still getting set. All players are also working out their pricing internally to adopt it. Right now, I would say, yes, it's a challenge. You have to be worried about it. As an IDP product, we are worried about it, how to optimize the cost. We need to put the algos inside the product to make sure that we optimize the cost and we get the right price for the customer. Hope I have answered your question, Kathy.
Right. Thanks, Shashi. The next question is from Stephen. Do I still need to train models based on my data?
Excellent question. Okay. It depends on the what kind of you have. But speaking on a generic specific question, generally I would say is yes, you can start using the generative AI models which are available for the first cut. But as you go along to increase the accuracy, to reduce the errors, you might need to do some kind of a self-learning. You might need to train with your own private data. On top of it, you have to enhance that model, use that model, but it's going to cost you something. But that would be a way to go about it. Again, depending on the volume, what kind of a use case you have. I have a feeling that in some use cases that yes, even the generative AI output could be pretty good, where you may not need not require to train any of the data, but there would be certain use cases where you need to train it to avoid the or to reduce the error which you may get it. The answer is yes and no, both, depending on the use case, you need to look at it. But from the IDP product perspective, what we see is as you go along, data is coming, people are reviewing it, people are correcting the data. From that data, you can learn it and decide whether to go and train a model and modify that accordingly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shashi. Hope that answers your question, Stephen. I think, Shashi, we are done with our questions. Is there anything else you want to add apart from that? Shall we conclude?
I think covered many things. If any more questions, think they're more than happy to take.
Sure, sure. All right. So thank you so much for being there with us till the end, everyone. Hope you gained some insights from this session. And apologies on some of the inconvenience caused around the audio, but we'd be happy to connect post the webinar to discuss your business needs and challenges. So please drop us a note at events@datamatics.com so that we can take in your requests from that email ID. Once again, thank you so much for being there with us till the end and have a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Really appreciate it.